Hi folks, this is Song Tripping. I'm Jim and I'm here for another listening log update. Here's what I've been listening to with some random reactions. I have some new acquisitions to share with you too. And it's Saturday, June 8th, so let's get started. It's been a busy listening period since the last update. Um, First of all, you may remember I was listening to A Hard Day's Night on vinyl, those reissues that came out about a decade ago or so. Well, I picked up another one new, and this is Beatles for Sale. Beatles for Sale in stereo. And this is, sometimes people malign this album, but we really like it. This is the UK version, and I like that gatefold. Nice presentation, nice glossy cover. Looks real sharp, and more importantly, it sounds really nice. Like whereas the Hard Day's Night stereo originally didn't make the best impression, but it grew on us. Immediately, Beatles for Sale sounded good. Are there flaws in the recording? Yes, you can hear them, but that's sort of baked into the studio mix. Um, and But the sound of the pressing was great. Very quiet, very full, deep, warm, resonant, rich. And this has some real nice songs like this isn't, the Beatles were, I think, getting a little weary, road weary and studio weary when they slapped together this album, but they still delivered some great songs. It's not all original songs like you get on Hard Day's Night, so they're back to doing some covers. But some of my favorite tracks here are No Reply, I'm a Loser, Babies in Black, and they cover Chuck Berry's Rock and Roll Music. That sounded great. Paul has a nice ballad, I'll Follow the Sun. Mr. Moonlight is John sort of doing like the sort of screaming cover. Really nice. Then there's Kansas City with Paul on lead vocal. 8 Days a Week was one of the big singles off this record. And then Words of Love. Very nice cover of Honey Don't, a Carl Perkins tune that Ringo sings lead on. Every Little Thing is a favorite track, a deep track in the Beatles catalog. Really love the sort of booming, I guess it's like a timpani that comes in on the chorus. It just sounded great on this vinyl. I Don't Want to Spoil the Party, What You're Doing, and Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby, which George sings lead on. So that's Beatles for Sale. Very glad to have it in the collection. And what else have we been listening to? Well, remember, it's not like I got thousands of followers, but like some of you remember the Straub's Deadline shootout, and then I got the UK pressing with the gatefold cover. I'll just show that to folks once again. Straub's Deadlines, 1977. I finally got around to listening to this UK edition. I listened to it on the upstairs bedroom through the Pioneer bookshelf speakers and the Ankayo integrated amp, which has never been a favorite amp of mine, but it works and it plays its role. And the Pioneer bookshelf speakers are not a match for the ELAC debuts in the living room. But despite that, I enjoyed the listen. I'll have to listen to it on the downstairs stereo, but it's nice, decent pressing. It was nice to come back to that album. Every time I listen to Deadlines, I like it even more. Okay, then some other things I've gotten recently. So I decided to get, let's do Bruce Springsteen here. So you may know that Mobile Fidelity has reissued the first two Bruce Springsteen albums, Greetings from Asbury Park, which I reviewed here before on SACD and vinyl, and I got this Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab. Notice it's not original master recording, Wild and Innocent and the E Street Shuffle. And I've been listening to this album more than any other album in the last couple of weeks because I'm going to do a shootout. And I'm going to shoot out this with this OG CD and the vinyl, original vinyl as a reference, and then also the version that's on Tidal, which is the remastered version from, 2010, 2014, somewhere in there. And I have thoughts on that, and it's been a really interesting experiment, and it's been very difficult to sort through and parse the listening experiences. But I think I'm just about ready to do a shootout video for those, so stay tuned for that. I'll leave it at that. Somewhere along the line, we actually listened to this old copy of Magical Mystery Tour. This is the original CD release from '87. I think it was because we were watching a live stream with like a vinyl community guy. I forget his name. I apologize for forgetting your name, but you did an interview with Steve Hoffman, and I think this came up during their conversation. That this is, some people prefer the 1987 Magical Mystery Tour to the later remastered version. So we just put this on and enjoyed the listen. I didn't do any comparisons of it, but I'm always in the mood for Magical Mystery Tour. So in addition to getting this Springsteen new, I also ordered this Beach Boys Pet Sounds on SACD. And this was an interesting experiment. This is Analog Productions, and you can see that rainbow capital label. A comment here, first of all, I think this is my first SACD that I've gotten from Analog Productions. To be honest, they could do better with the packaging for the money that you pay for these things. This is kind of feels a little cheap to me. But what really matters is the sound. And what's cool about this is you get the stereo remix, or maybe it was the first stereo mix that Mark Linnett did. And then you also get the original mono mix. So it's just back to back. And it's fun to compare different versions. I had to do some research on this. I didn't do a lot of advanced research on it because I was trying to fill an order so I could get free shipping. And I added that late in the game to my cart. But in terms of what you're actually getting with this is a little hard to figure out. And I actually already had this stereo mix on the Pet Sounds Sessions box set, which maybe I'll show. I'm going to maybe do a Pet Sounds video down the line where I compare versions. So I'm pretty sure, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the stereo mix that's on here is the same mix that's on that Pet Sounds Sessions box set. But I also think that the mastering is different on this because I think was it Kevin Gray was involved with this. So again, enlighten me in the comments, those of you who are Analog Productions experts. Was this indeed the stereo mix from the Pet Sounds box set? And was this also remastered by Kevin Gray for SACD? Well, in any case, I didn't have this album as in SACD format. And just quick review of it is I really like the stereo mix. It sounded gorgeous. And I thought the mono mix were paled by comparison. But I haven't done a deep dive into it yet. And I need to also compare this to that earlier box set mix. So I'm probably going to do a shootout on this at some point because I have a couple versions on vinyl that I'd like to go back to. But it was great to come back to Pet Sounds. I haven't listened to it in a few years, and it's just a classic. Okay, a little break to talk about Tidal for a second. So my Tidal streaming habits, have morphed a little bit. So lately I like to listen to Tidal in the morning, like says I'm kind of winding up for the day. And lately I've just done something that I never did before. And I'm sure many of you do this already, but I have like a whole bunch of stuff in the Tidal catalog. I basically try to, stuff that was like transferred from my Spotify library when I switched over, and there's probably stuff from my iTunes library that I switched over. And then when I add new records, or records I'm getting rid of that are in their catalog, I'll add them to the library. So this is just tons and tons and tons of albums on there. So what I do now is sometimes I'll just put it on shuffle play. I'll just go to my tracks. Instead of going by artist or searching for a single album to listen to, I'll just go to my tracks and just hit shuffle play, and like anything comes up in any order. And it's a great way, if you have a vast library, to just rediscover or discover for the first time stuff that you maybe haven't paid much attention to before. So there's been a few standout tracks that I really liked. Maybe down the line I'll feature some of those. Okay, on to records. Okay, more vinyl. So I've been doing some shopping therapy lately, and there's been some things that I've had my eye on for a while, and I decided now was time to pull the trigger on it. So this is the recent reissue of Late for the Sky by Jackson Browne. This is on Inside Recordings, which I think Jackson Browne that's like his label now. And don't pay attention to this price tag. This is not what came with the record. I just put it in this sleeve. But this is a favorite album of mine. I think it's Jackson Browne's best album. And I want to do a more careful review of it and compare it to some other versions of the album I have. It's an album I feel like you can't have enough versions of. But I will say this, just a quick first impression of it. We were not like super impressed with it. Like it was, to me, it might have been that my ears were a little fatigued, but I felt like it was a little bit flat somehow. Like it sounded almost digital. Like it sounded, it was pretty quiet vinyl, although I think I need to clean it. But maybe it's going to take some time for this to break in and warm up. I mean, I had the same sort of first reaction to Hard Day's Night, and I liked it so much better on the second time through. So I will give this another chance, but I'm not sure it's the go-to version. It might be like the CD version might be even better. And then we got this, Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here, remastered. Finally got around to reclaiming this on vinyl, and this was very impressive. This was remastered from the original analog tapes by James Guthrie, Joel Plant, and Bernie Grundman. I think this is an album that needs no introduction, and it really delivered. I think what made the strongest impression on me on the first listen was just the beauty of the guitar work. David Gilmour really shines on that album. No pun intended. Also found this used. Jethro Tull, Too Old to Rock and Roll, Too Young to Die. I've been scouting for this ever since I picked up the CD used, because I really like the way Jethro Tull presents their albums on vinyl. There's always something interesting, and here you get this comic on the gatefold, which is a lot easier to read than the CD, and you get your lyrics on the back. So I haven't given this one a listen yet, but I'll get around to it. And then the Jackson Browne theme continues. I decided just yesterday to get Jackson Browne self-titled Saturate Before Using. This is another reissue, 2023, I think, Inside Recordings from a remaster. And whereas Late for the Sky was rather underwhelming on the first listen, this one was super impressive. Really, really impressive. We both enjoyed it immensely last night. Nice, deep, warm soundstage. Okay, what else do we have here? Just a few more albums to share. I don't know if I shared this one before. I might have. Love, False Start. I think I did. This came from the Rock Shop in King of Prussia. We got around to listening to this, and remember, Jimi Hendrix is on the first track of this album, and we enjoyed it. I would say it's like a good 3 to 4 star album. Does it match the level of Love's Forever Changes in their early work? Maybe not, but it's still like definitely a keeper. This copy of Aqualung with the very pristine looking front cover and a respectable back cover. This sounded good, like a nice pressing. I haven't compared it to the other Aqualung I have yet, but I would say for now that's a keeper. And I got in the mood for some Barry Manilow. Here's Barry Manilow, One Voice. This is the original album that my sister had. She was a big Barry Manilow fan, and in my early record collecting days, or not I wasn't even collecting records. I didn't like have any records of my own. I was basically like listening to what she had, which was a lot of Barry Manilow, some Billy Joel, and not a whole lot else. I think she had Yes Tormato, and and the Beach Boys' Endless Summer, so that's sort of where I got my start. But I think this is like the last like peak Barry Manilow album. It came out in 1979. Here's your track list. Like the singles off of this, what was big? Ships and When I Wanted You. Those are the ones I think were the biggest singles. But really good, that classic Arista production style from the 70s. Very well played. The interesting thing about this, interesting to me at least, is this is almost impossible to find on CD. Like I have like most of Barry Manilow's albums on CD, and yeah, you can buy it used, but it's like a little bit higher priced. Most Barry Manilow, if you find it in the bins, it's usually like bargain basement prices. But that one I don't think got as widely distributed. I'm not sure. But it's out there, but I never come across it in the used bins. And of course, you're not going to find it like new anywhere. I'd have to order it online, I think. But maybe I don't have to, because you can stream it. And honestly, I don't think it would beat the vinyl quality that this one had. That's why I listened to it. So, yeah, I might take that off my want list. And what else? One more CD that I got at the record shop when I bought the Saturate Before Using album. Richard Thompson has a new album, Ship to Shore. I streamed a couple tracks of this as he was like dribbling it out in advance of the album release. And we listened to it last night. It's got a nice label. I love the artwork, and this was up on the wall in the store, and it just jumped out to me, like this yellow color, the painting and the yellow and the red orange is like really, I don't know, it jumped out to me, and I thought, I could just stream this album, but it's been a while since I bought a Richard Thompson album new, so let's give it a go. They do have a nice poster here with the lyrics fold out, and very nice image here. So, you can't get this when you stream it, right? And it's a nice packaging. And the album sounds fine. It sounds really good. I found this to be one of maybe the better latter day Richard Thompson albums, just on first impressions. I just was very drawn in and had a very full sound, really good production, nice mastering, good mix. And it's an album I'm going to listen to again very soon. It was like I liked it enough that it was like, all right, I'm taking notice. This is good. He doesn't put out bad albums, let's face it. But I do, at least for my personal opinion, subjective, his peak period was in like the late 80s through the 90s. Start with maybe Rumor and Sigh on up through like those Mitchell Froom produced albums, And then he did albums like Mock Tutor and Old Kit Bag. Like those are like way up here in my pantheon of great albums, and like such a great songwriter and great guitar player. And then, you know, as time wore on into the 2000s and 2010s, like I was still paying attention to his stuff, but I wasn't listening as closely. So I'm going to go back and like give those albums like a more careful listen. And this might be my gateway to that, because this is like really strong. Lovely. He still got it. Okay, I think that's about all I have for this update. If I forgot anything, I'll come back. Probably up next on the channel is my Bruce Springsteen, The Wild and Innocent and E Street Shuffle shootout. There's a lot of things to talk about with that one. I think you might enjoy it. Tell me what you've been listening to. If you have any reactions to these albums, or you can correct me or enlighten me on like what's going on, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.